Hi all. So hope you're learning well. So today we are going to cover the topic BigQuery. It's a very important topic, and mainly if you talk about you are from data warehouse background and you're into SQL, this technology called BigQuery is very important for you. So mainly this BigQuery is our data warehouse, and it's one of the product of Google introduced, and it's serverless. What is serverless? That we'll discuss later. So today's topic we are going to cover about what is BigQuery. We will talk about the data lake concept, which is very important, how to make the data centralized, that we're going to cover. And then we are going to talk about BigQuery versus Cloud SQL. There are similar topics like we are using SQL and Cloud SQL, we are using in BigQuery also, but where is the use case? In which case we should use the BigQuery? What is the use case of the Cloud SQL? How it looks similar? What are the difference, that use cases we have to talk. So in that we will talk about BigQuery versus Cloud SQL. And also we will talk about Cloud SQL in BigQuery, how to import Cloud SQL into the BigQuery, that we will cover as well. And as a data warehouse, we talk about BigQuery as a data warehouse. So let's talk about first what is a BigQuery. So coming to the part of the BigQuery, we understand it's one of the best data warehouse, and it's product of the Google, introduced by Google, and it's a serverless, means there's no any admin team will be managing and maintaining that. You just enable the service in Google Cloud, that we will see when we'll do the practical, and then you can just start working onto that. Okay, so mainly BigQuery is a cloud-based enterprise warehouse which is used a Google Cloud platform, and it's completely SQL. If you ask me what is a prerequisite to learn that data warehouse and work with the BigQuery, so people from the SQL background, people for dealing with the structured data, and yes, it is equally good for the people those who are in data engineering. They are looking for data processing in real time as well in the batch process, and also the ML machine learning libraries you can implement on top of that also. We'll go one by one all this thing. So a very important thing to learn this, the prerequisite, you should have a basic understanding of SQL, a warehouse. People those who are into that warehouse and in SQL working with the structured data, and you are planning to switch into Google Cloud, the BigQuery is one of the top-notch tool you have. It's deal with the structured data. The BigQuery enables scalable analysis of terabyte of petabyte data. So terabyte of data, petabyte of data, if you're processing, it takes a couple of seconds, that, and of course the billing will come, that you have to take care also, but it is faster, and yes, it can fulfill the requirement when you are doing with the big data, that we have Hadoop, we have a Spark, but parallelly, like you have a Hive, you have a Spark SQL, which comes like a data warehouse, and we have multiple options to deal with the big data. But now today we are talking about the BigQuery. It's a serverless. The more important thing like Hadoop and the Spark is horizontal scalability, but it's an admin team is working onto that. It's a big server, you are working with the cluster, but there's a team Hadoop admin which is maintaining the cluster, right, been there. But the more important factor, if you talk about in comparison to other data warehouse and or a platform where you are dealing with the big data and horizontal scalability, then BigQuery is also coming in the picture. But additional advantage you have that it's a serverless. The Google team is maintaining, Google is maintaining everything's part. You have to start load the data and you start processing your data. You have to worry for the bill. That's the concern. So it's totally serverless. Okay. More about, if you talk about you say that this is the data lake, right? What exactly? And if you talk about this part, right? If you see onto this part, I have made a one flow. So let's say on premise you have one project and you want to import onto your Google Cloud. So how exactly the process, the flow, and what are the options you have if you're using into that it need the ETL, it need the storage, it need the data processing, it need some kind of data visualization end to end. So this flow will help you, and that it's being it's a data engineering, the flow, the pipeline, how it's being there. So let's say your data is on premise and you're using some RDBMS and data is stored here, and you want to migrate, you want to get your data onto the Google Cloud. Okay, So the data will come from offline and you can store data in Google Cloud Storage. This is what cloud storage, and through that ETL, you can have a couple of ETL. You know that you have a data ingestion, you have a Informatica traditional ETL tool, but we have a one data. If you ask me what ETL tool we can come in the picture, we have a data fusion. It's a codeless, right? And you can use it and store the data in a cloud storage, right? We have discussed already the cloud storage and the costing and what is the minimal, and you know that it store different variety of data. So it's a good thing is that if it is RDBMS, you can store it on a cloud storage. So offline data, you can do a batch job and store the data on the cloud storage. Now if you talk about the streaming, like you have an online real-time streaming data also, so you can store into the cloud storage. So the streaming data ingestion tool, you can use the PubShop. And there's all the tools, which is an ecosystem. You can say it's a Google Cloud platform. You will have all these tools. So PubShop, it's a Google product. You know that your Gmail, your Google Meet, what all the streaming it's being there. Google use this PubShop tool. So we'll talk this part. All right. So we will talk about this, the data processing part, where exactly in terms of you have to use the BigQuery, you have to use the Dataproc, yep. And once big data analytics you have done, then you need a data visualization tool where you can show the graphical presentation. So we have a Tableau, we have a Power BI, but yes, in a BigQuery ecosystem, we have a tool that is called Looker, which is a Google BigQuery ecosystem, which show you in the data visualization. It's similar like you have a Power BI and the Tableau. So this complete flow you can understand, and these are the ecosystem on-premise to migrating data, to migrating your project or data onto the cloud, and what are the different processing in terms of OLAP or OLTP. The tools are being available, so you can use it, right? So this comes under the data lake. You have a data flow to design the pipeline, that yes, data coming to here, and you are now end to end you are coming to here. So you have to design the pipeline. For that pipeline, you have a data flow tools to design it. Okay. Now coming to the part BigQuery versus data warehouse. Interactive SQL queries, large data sets, petabyte of data you can process in a second. We'll see in the practical. Serverless, as I told that, and non-ops including ad hoc queries. Ecosystem of visualization, yes, we have a Looker, which comes under the visualization. Ecosystem of ETL, we have a ETL. Just now we have seen all this to in the previous slides, and processing tools. Up to minimum minute data, machine learning, security, also the concern is being there. So you can go to IAM and you can secure all this thing. Now we're coming to the practical part. Let's move to the part. Now you see here, we can go to this part, and you can, here we have a BigQuery, and we can go to the BigQuery, click onto the BigQuery. Inside that part we have a studio, and this is what your BigQuery panel that we have just opened it. And yeah, there are multiple things. It's similar to like you are going to the if you're very new into this part, we will learn about our data set, how to create a table, but many more features we have that we will see that. If you click onto the ad, there are multiple options you have to load the data in your table. Okay, so you can load the data from your local file. You have a cloud storage. If you want to import data from your cloud storage to the BigQuery, there are options you have. You want to do the connection, right? Let's say your data is onto your Cloud SQL MySQL service, and you want to migrate into your BigQuery. So that all the options, the pipeline is already being designed. Moreover, we have more resource to get the data. So some public data set also we have. So you see that there's a public data set. That's really you know that if you want to get the flavor of to work with the real-time data, it's all the real-time data, but it's quite old. But it's good for if you're a beginner, if you're a learner, to implement all use cases on real-time data sets, kind of similar. You can use it. So we have a different domain. Click onto the public data sets, and you see that you have a multiple domains being available here, like a healthcare, banking, retail. You have analytics. You have a big data. These are all the domain-wise the data. You can filter it out. Education, climate, security, CRM, means all these data flavors are available. So it's very, very important for you. Yes, a specific data sets if you want to work, Google is giving it to you in under the category of called public data sets. Let's say we have you can see that there are 235 results being available. You have a COVID data sets, and if I show you that something one called a Rapido kind of services, like if you write it City Bike, so it's similar type of data sets, like you are working in in India we have a Rapido. So okay, now see that City Bike data types you have, just click onto this and you will get the complete information about this data sets, what is all about this data set. On top you see that City Bike is the nation largest bikes. It's just similar like you have a Rapido, right? And 2,000, 10,000 bikes, 600 station, and many informations are available. If you want to see this data, what exactly the data set is all about, then you just click onto you just close it. And if you want to view the data set, you can click it here. I will directly show it from my part. And so right here the city, and just search it, search all projects, and you see that all the data set just now have shown it to you. If you want to see here, you see here. So under this we have two different table of categories. The data set I was talking about, it was a city bike trips. Just click onto that. City bike trips we have, and you see that this is the table information. When you know that you are booking any cab, or we are talking about Ola, Uber, right? Auto industry, that rental cars or a bike, if you are booking from your app, at back end they hold all this information. So trip duration, you understand this trip duration, you give the OTP, then your journey started. Trip duration, when you started, stop time, station ID, station name, longitude, your GPS is also activated. So this informations are available here in station ID, in station name, longitude, latitude, bike ID, user type, birthday. This is all the information they carry, and that's very, very important for them. You might be thinking what they're doing with this data. We will talk about some use cases, what exactly some major challenges we are facing in terms of service, in terms of monitoring when you're interacting with the customer, you know that. So the major, the customer, if I ask you what Ola, Uber is facing onto that, and if they ask the team what exactly how we can reduce this, you know that the challenges what our customer is facing in terms of fare, in terms of services. So this data can give you the great analysis. So you can do this multiple analysis, and that's really important. Being a data analysis, a data rich data is very, very important. We'll talk about this part. And if you see about details, right? You see that details is all about a data set. As I told you that it's a rich data, it's a real-time data, but it's quite it's not updated one, so that's okay. Currently this data is available on your US data center. Okay, and if you talk about what number of rows, so storage info, if you see that the storage info almost 58 crore 93 lakh 7,715 writes data available. It's a huge data, and it's you understand that if you are looking for some kind of you know that analysis, this data can give you to great extent. You can achieve the accuracy with the some use cases or some kind of analysis you are looking forward. So the total size is what 7.47 GB data, and yep. When you run the job, the billing will come, and we will talk about how exactly this tools, how exactly you know that when you're writing some use case in terms of query, you can just click onto that. You can open a new tab, and you know that related to this data, if you want to write some query, you can write the SQL as per the requirement. You can use it. You write your query and do the analysis with that, and you can see that how fast this data, that we will see in the next video. Thank you. Hey, don't forget to download our app for access to free courses and interactive quizzes. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and free content. See you next time. Happy learning.